Thank God for Side B.
From the Isle of Sorna, this is the Site B podcast, a show where your voice is heard, broadcasting from the InGen Communications Center. I am one of your hosts, Matthew, aka the Matt DeLorean. Joining me today is my co-host, Nick, aka Multiverse Toys. We are available wherever podcasts are listened to and heard, this video version exclusively here on YouTube. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So today I have something different. I have the microphone closer to my mouth, so hopefully my audio is better. We have to guilt trip Nick into getting a microphone, everybody. But Nick's camera... Go ahead, sorry.
I said we will get that.
Nick's camera looks pretty good today. We had some little audio issues, but now we have some pretty good video quality if you're watching on YouTube. But today's episode is titled The Dinosaur Man. So if you notice something, we're going to have... I would like to try. We might run out if the podcast is successful, but we're going to do like every title of every episode be like something from like the Lost World soundtrack. So the Dinosaur Man, obviously subway scene right after the first scene in Lost World, is essentially Nick and I. So we have a lot of Jurassic news today to share with you. Toy reviews, a lot has dropped and it has things have been done and come out since we've spoke to you last. So we apologize. Life is very busy. It's mostly my fault. I'll take the blame. So the latest news we have here is the boardroom meeting. So we're going to talk about several things here. Nick, what are your latest pickups? Oh my gosh, I forgot to get my pickups. Here, you go talk. I'm going to go get mine.
Sweet. So I haven't opened them yet, but here is the TVC Jabba the Hutt that just came out. And he looks okay. Some people are complaining about like weird orange paint underneath of his chin. I haven't seen my figure yet, so I don't really have a full opinion yet. But for $90, unfortunately, it does look a little crappy. Yeah, this set's $90. And I mean, it comes with, you can see on the back, comes with Jabba, 2 carded figures, even though Salacious Crumb is like a tiny little accessory more so than a figure.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 8D8 droid that comes with it. So it's a shame that this was the version that they released, because even Jabba is like smaller in scale than like a Luke Skywalker figure. It's just not proportionately accurate. So it's not the Jabba figure I think that a lot of us wanted, but for what it is and to put it in my throne room playset, I think this is okay for what it is. $90 is pretty damn steep, though.
Yeah, where'd you get that? Amazon?
No, it's a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, and it actually did just stock if you're interested in picking it up. But if you look online at people's photos of it, it doesn't look amazing. So I would definitely check out the in-hand photos before you make that call. And then the other 2 figures I got recently, actually today, was Hammond Collection Claire, who does not really look like Claire. Up close, I don't know if you can really see in the camera, but her face is kind of messy. And this was the better of the 2 versions I saw there. It's a shame that they didn't give us the Jurassic World version of Claire, and they went with Fallen, considering that like we've gotten this version already, and that version's okay. It's passable. And I just don't understand why the face sculpt is really off on this, but they can get other characters like Muldoon or Arnold, pretty solid. But the better figure from that wave, the Pyro Raptor, which seems to be pretty hard to find. It was the only one that they had on the pegs. It's, I think, like the least packed figure in that wave, so that's probably why it's so hard to get. But Delta is almost everywhere now. So if you're looking for those figures, they should all be probably hitting store shelves soon.
Sweet. Yeah, so I only picked up 2 things and they're not Jurassic Park related. I literally just got this the other day. So this is Dark Knight Rises Bane. Nice. I believe this is Spin Master. It's $6.99. I posted.
That's not.
Yeah, I posted this to Instagram story, and Jurassic was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's Spin Master," and I was like, "Do you know?" Because Spin Master owns the rights to the little dudes, like the 4-inch guys,
Sure.
and then McFarlane makes the 7-inch figures for Batman or DC. So it's awesome that they made a figure, and it actually looks pretty cool because the Mattel ones sucked from like 2012. Bane really didn't look that Bane at all, or it was very cartoony looking. Like this actually looks pretty much like Tom Hardy's Bane. It's pretty sweet, one of my favorite characters of all time. So
how many does it have?
It has thigh swivels, so I'm assuming it's got it does have shoulder as well. I'm assuming like 11. I don't know. It's got elbows and stuff. I don't think it has wrists though, which is fine. You don't need wrists, but that's pretty good for $6.99.
I don't think the basic 3 3/4-inch Mattel figures have wrist either. It's probably about the same, so that's not bad at all. $7 for a figure.
I think even the Mattel ones don't have like elbows and knees. I'm not sure. But it's
they have the most part. I think there's like a very like this the kid characters. I don't think get the elbows.
The Batman toys back in the day from Mattel, or the ones now?
Oh, I'm talking about the Jurassic figures from Mattel.
Oh yeah. So the other one I just have Leia because I have a Han. I think the Han I have is from Jedi. So I think that's it for the pickups. So we have a couple. Well, I mean these are pickups too in a way, but our little reviews we have here in the boardroom. We have the Giga Hammond Collection and a couple others. We'll want to do the Giga first, or you want to do a different one first?
We do the Giga. So yeah, the Giga is probably, I don't know, I think it's probably the best Hammond Collection figure that Mattel's done so far. I mean, it just looks fantastic. It's pretty good in proportion to the T-Rex and the Therizinosaurus. I would say size accuracy is pretty important with dinosaurs, and it's done pretty well with the Giga here. There's a lot of detail on this figure, and one thing that I know Matt had a huge issue with the T-Rex is the stupid, like, I guess, midpoint articulation there underneath of the arms. And this is just very floppy. It never really worked with the T-Rex.
Yeah, yours is pretty messed up, too.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the first release for the Rex, so they might have fixed it a little bit better as they went down.
No, it's just kind of the same. Yeah, it's still crappy.
It's a shame. I think that's one thing that if they did reissue a T-Rex that I would prefer if they didn't have that midsection articulation. But they fixed that with the Giga, and that's good because it probably would have made like the dorsal spines there look a little weird. So this sits a lot nicer and it looks a lot more flush. The tail looks pretty good. They didn't finish the paint all the way down to the end of the tail there, which is not the end of the world considering that most of it's done. And funny enough, the tail comes in 2 different pieces, so it's not all rubber. It has another point of articulation, like right here. This is hard plastic. This is rubber. So it does bend pretty well, though. The wire framing is pretty good. It does have a pretty good range of articulation. And they even painted all the claws on the figure, which is not something that Mattel often does. I'm glad because that's what you would expect out of Hammond Collection quality figures. And the awesome thing that when this first released, they were on clearance. I don't know if it was Target's inventory system that was weird or if they were just trying to run a sale, get the bigger figures off the shelves quicker. I don't know. But this figure was $35. And for $35, I don't think you can beat that. I mean, it's got all the articulation you could need. I mean, they even articulated the neck, and it's even got like I don't know what you would call the joint, but it makes it stiff. So you can kind of like, articulate the tongue and position it, clicks so that like it doesn't fall down by itself. Essentially, if you want it to be posed upwards, it's nice and firm there. You can even press it down, it won't move. So that's pretty cool. And the glass eye is a lot better on this figure than the other ones so far. I would say it's probably about neck and neck with the glass eye on the Carnotaurus that came out last December. But ultimately I think that this is the best big dinosaur that Mattel's put out so far, which we desperately needed because the version that came out for the Dominion toy line was just terrible. I mean, that midsection joint that we were talking about with the T-Rex, it's nothing compared to the midsection joint on that figure. I mean, it just looked wonky. It was never like in a straight pose. It always had like its torso posed to the side. It just didn't work. And I think this is a perfect definitive version of the Giga from the film.
I think the tongue is the same on the Rex, right? You can still pose it in the midair, right?
I think it's about the same. Yeah, it's not. So the Giga is a lot better. Like it actually clicks into place, whereas this version doesn't firm. But I mean, you can still kind of move it if you pose it all. I mean, it kind of does flop a little bit. See there, and I'll show the Giga if I open the mouth all the way. I mean, it still kind of flops, I guess, but it doesn't go downwards. It just goes back into that place. It doesn't articulate any higher than that. But honestly, you don't really need it to. It's fine either there or the second point here.
Now, I noticed doing a little bit of research. Some people on YouTube, their tails, they flop a little bit. It's been a really big notorious problem with Mattel dinosaur toys. Most likely, or most famously, with the Spinogate, the original Spinosaurus. That one, right. The joint is really floppy. I think yours, you said, was you were really lucky, and or maybe it's yours is the normal and theirs wasn't. But the end tail flops a little bit, and yours does not.
No, mine was horrible. I actually sold mine a little bit ago, but yeah, it was super floppy.
The Giga, not the Spino.
Oh, the Giga. Okay, yeah, the Giga tail's really good actually. Like it's trying to shake it. I mean, it moves a little bit, but if you look at like the Rex tail, you can see that it just goes like, with the motion of the figure. So this is a lot firmer. I don't seem to have any issues with it. I mean, even when I pose it, if I, give it a more dynamic direction, it still kind of holds pretty well.
Yeah, I was worried that because the rubber on the tail's heavy and that plastic's probably the joints probably start sagging or giving out over time, but we'll see.
And you can tell that there's a slight difference in color, like on this green to this green. I guess maybe it's the plastic quality. And there's even like red markings, like a hint of red in the spikes on the body part of the Gigas, where it doesn't continue with that on the tail. But for the most part, like I said, for a $35 figure, fantastic. And for $50, which is its normal retail price, I still think this is a pretty good toy for your money. I think collectors ultimately love it. I don't speak for everybody, but for myself and the others that I talk to, this is a pretty solid figure in all of our books. So I would say it probably deserves maybe a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect. I don't think any Mattel figure is really, or really any action figure nowadays isn't 100% 10 out of 10 perfect. But for what this is, I think you're getting your money's worth, and I think you're getting a pretty damn cool toy.
So last question, thoughts of the day for the Giga class size dinosaur toy. Do you think we're going to get an Indominus Rex next, or are the Gigas selling well in your area? We could get an Indominus or a Spino. People are asking for Spino.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually was at Target today, and there was like 2 Gigas on shelves. I personally haven't seen Gigas on shelves as much as I have the Therizinosaurus. But that being said, I think they sell a lot better than the mainline stuff does, but I don't have any analytics to back that up. As far as the Indominus Rex goes, that's what I would love to see next personally. But I do know that question was asked at San Diego Comic-Con during a Mattel Q&A, and they said that Indominus Rex is probably coming sooner than we think. And I think they said in a way different than we think, which my assumption there would be it's going to be for the Jurassic World Reimagined line, probably like a real feel skin Indominus Rex. But that's not necessarily, what they said. It could be from the Hammond Collection. It could be something completely different. It might be another mainline Indominus, like new colors. Who knows? But yeah, I think it would be awesome to get a Hammond Collection Indominus. I think the bigger dinosaurs are selling pretty well. So who knows? I mean, I am shocked that they're giving us the Demon Carnotaurus or even the Scutosaurus that they showed off at San Diego Comic-Con. So the fact that they're giving us figures like that, I would say anything's really on the table at this point.
It'd be crazy if they gave out or did a Bad Boy remake. I might buy that. I'm not going to lie. I might buy a Bad Boy remake.
I could.
That was, I think, the first toy. It may have been the second video I made. It was hunting for the Bad Boy. And then the third video I made was the review of the Bad Boy. And I had these guys as my like background on my like dinner table back home. And good times, man. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Can you believe that was over 10 years ago? Almost 10 years ago? Isn't it crazy? Yeah. So next up is the Therizinosaurus, which I do not have as well. So this is also on Nick. So what do you think of this guy?
This one, again, I think this one is $35. So this was on sale just like the Carnotaurus was, which I think it was like $25 instead at that time. So again, great bang for your buck. The paint's a little more consistent on this tail than it is with the Giga. It does stay pretty consistent with the rest of the body. And it is just as posable pretty much as the Giga's tail. Pretty firm. I don't have any issues with it flopping. So that's pretty good. And they painted the toe claws. They painted the hand claws. The hand claws are even articulated. So not only can you move them up or down, but you can even rotate them, which I think is a really nice feature. It really goes to show that Mattel kind of cares when they released this Therizinosaurus and the Giga, because I think they're figures that fans have been crying out for a while. They're obviously like some of the more popular dinosaurs amongst us collectors. So I think it's important that they did them and they did them right. I don't necessarily love the face paint on this one. I think it's a little pale, or I don't know. There's something that just doesn't sit perfect with me about the face paint deco, but the glass eye on this one is great as well. I don't know how well you can see it there, but it does look pretty good. Like I said, with the Giga, you're getting your money's worth with this figure. They're certainly, in my opinion, at least a lot better than their original releases. I'm not a fan of gimmicks with my action figures anymore. I don't like stuff that makes noise. I would prefer articulation and accuracy more than anything. So as far as Hammond Collection goes, if that's the thing that you want, I mean, you're going to get that with these figures. They're great for posing. I have them on my shelf. They're decently sized. They're not like insanely big where you can't display them. I think they just make for some really awesome figures. And, you know, when you put these two together and you set them up in a pose, I mean, these are really the two biggest dinosaurs from Dominion. So I think it's important that they put them out. You can display them together. And I think if you buy one, you kind of have to get the other one. So hopefully that helps Mattel's sales, and hopefully that helps keep the Hammond Collection alive.
Boss, so you should work for Mattel with that pitch.
Yes, I should.
So did you ever have, you probably didn't because you don't collect the main line, did you ever have the Dominion electronic Therizinosaurus toy?
I did, yeah. So I was collecting mainline back around Dominion. Honestly, ever since they released the Fallen Kingdom line, they just kept pumping out a ton of repaints and just so many big figures that honestly I just couldn't keep track of them or even store them anymore. So that's why I cut a lot of the mainline stuff. But I had that Dominion Theory, and for what it was an okay figure. I think the face sculpt was a little off on that one, and the action features drove me nuts because if it moved light bit, makes noise. Like I think it still honestly goes off in the bin in my closet sometimes. So it's not a perfect toy for kids. It works. You know, the action features were okay. The Giga is the one that I just didn't even bother picking up. And I considered it when I saw that, big 3-pack set. I said, maybe I'll just bite the bullet just for the Ellie Sattler figure and I'll sell the other figures off. But ultimately, I was like, yeah, I can't pull the trigger on this. These figures are just really, really bad. I mean, that Giga is like very, very kiddie in quality. And it just doesn't, I don't even think it would appeal to kids because I saw them stocked on shelf. Crazy. I mean, they were trying to get rid of them for like $20 and people wouldn't buy them. So yeah, it just wasn't a good toy.
Yeah, they took the L at that one. We talked about that in the last podcast. I said it was skip it. But the reason I ask, the Therizinosaurus, the Dominion toy from 2022, actually, that was my favorite toy, I think, because I love Kenner. That was my favorite toy. They're very Kenner-esque out of the whole Dominion line because it reminded me of that. But I took it back to the store because I felt that the plastic quality kind of sucked, and I felt like over time that thing would have broken really quickly. How is the plastic quality, since you already know about that toy, how is the plastic quality in comparison to the Hammond Collection version?
So one thing with the Hammond Collection figures is they're very hollow feeling. I think they are pretty much just like a shell on the outside with nothing on the inside. You can knock on it, it makes that sound. Even still, the plastic quality isn't bad. Like, it doesn't feel flimsy. If I shake it, like, even the arms hardly move. Well, I shouldn't say that because the arms do move, but it's not meant to be thrown around like that. It's meant to hold stable positions and be extremely posable essentially. And it does that. Like, the joints are stiff. They even have, you can hear the clicking of the legs there. So, they're really good joints. I think this toy will hold up a lot better than that Therizinosaurus will. But that's solely because of the way that the toy was designed, and it had like that weird, rotating midsection, and it had a lot of flimsy joints with it. This isn't perfect plastic quality, but it's not awful either. I think this is a step in the right direction as opposed to the other figure.
But they can't improve with the plastic quality, though.
I mean, I think with anything they can improve for sure. I mean, it's again not a 100% perfect toy. I think if you're going to make it accurate to the Dominion version, maybe it would have been cool if like the eyes had a little bit of film over it, so it looked blind like the version of the movie. But those are like little nitpick things. I think they're not ultimately the important part of the design process. I think this is good enough for what you're getting. If they decide sometime down the line to do an even more accurate version, that'd be great. But I think this is pretty solid for what they're charging for it.
Very nice. I actually forgot one thing, the pickups. I got this 98 Godzilla on the shelf right here. It's like an animatronic. I don't know what toy it was, because I used to have like the littler ones. They're like 7-inch Godzillas. This guy's like 15 inches, 14-inch Godzilla. Pretty sweet. I forgot about that for the pickups. But anyways, I had to show that off because I was like, wait a minute, I forgot that Godzilla was just brand new. So the last two Hammond Collection things we're going to talk about here are Raptors. So you have Raptor Blue. And you want to also talk about how Mattel is improving with the teeth on a lot of the dinosaurs, including Blue.
Yes, so Blue was, I think, one of the earlier releases, came out around April this year. And it was a step in the right direction as far as they made the tail a little bit longer. They finally implemented the glass eye with the Raptors. The glass eye does not work with this figure. No. It's unfortunate. Just really hard to get the effect that you want from it, given the way that the lighting hits it. And the other problem with it is, if you look at the mouth, the teeth are very, very like dull and flat, kind of like the Ceratosaurus they had in the Hasbro toy line in 2015. It's just not really good looking. And for, the main raptor of the Jurassic franchise, I don't really think that's, acceptable. I think we definitely need an updated version of Blue, unfortunately, which is a shame because that might take away from a slot from another character somewhere down the line. But they did give us Delta recently. And what's crazy to me is this figure released in, I think, June or July, or even releasing on shelves now. So it might have been end of July. And this figure came out in April. And just that 3-month time gap, they were able to get the glass eye effect to look much better on this figure. The teeth look way better than any other raptor that they've done so far. The only downside is you can't close the mouth all the way. But I mean, it's really good, and they're not like super sharp. Kid's not going to hurt himself. If he closes the teeth on his fingers, they're not, anything dangerous or anything to worry about for the most part. So I think this is the way to go as far as fixing the teeth. They did that with the Beckel Spinax as well, and the Pyro Raptor has the better teeth too. So they're definitely working on that. I think that's something us collectors have had an issue with for a while. Even the glass eye, like I said, is a lot better. So they're working on getting their proportions better. They fixed the feet with the Raptors, which is certainly much better. They look a lot better. The tails are longer, so they're working in the right direction. The Atrociraptor that they showed off at SDCC doesn't look as great as I would have hoped for it to be. I think proportions are a little bit off, but I think it's still better than maybe what it would have been 2 years ago. I think Mattel's trying to improve, and that's a good thing. I just hope that it's a little bit faster at this rate.
Now, there's a quintillion amount of Blue toys made by Mattel. Is this the quintessential Blue?
See, that's tough because I like the original Walmart exclusive Battle Damage release Blue. That figure's pretty good. It had the neck articulation like right here that gave it some more range than most Raptors we've had in the past. It didn't have the elbow articulation, so that's one downside. But I think the paint looked a little bit better on that figure. I mean, you can even see the stripe in the movies goes above the leg. And on this figure, it goes over the leg. And it just doesn't look great with the way that the leg articulates. It doesn't, kind of look flush. And even the tail doesn't really connect that well as far as with the stripe. So I don't know that this is the quintessential Blue. I don't think it's a bad version of Blue. If you're just getting into the Jurassic World line and you are looking for a version to pick up, I'd say this one's pretty good. But the Walmart Battle Damage version isn't bad either. I think most releases since then haven't been great as far as proportions go, but this one has probably the best size feet and probably the best articulation of all the Blue figures.
It's kind of crazy how the Battle Damage one from their first launch essentially still stands the test of time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good figure. I liked it back then. I think this one is definitely an improvement in the sense that they got the face sculpt a little bit better. Obviously, the teeth not so much, but the glass eye effect I love on these figures. I just wish they could perfect it a little bit better. If they got that down, if they fixed the teeth, I think ultimately the sculpt is okay. The stripe deco gets on my nerves a little bit. That's not flush, but it's not a deal breaker for me. I think ultimately it's just they got to get the teeth down and they got to fix that eye.
Yeah, when I first saw that they were having a glass eye for a little small dinosaur like Blue, I was like, oh, I don't think that's going to work. But it's good that they're improving it.
It works much better with this Raptor. I mean, you can at least see it better. I guess maybe they have like something behind the eye to make the eye stand out a little more. It's just not as, I guess, translucent as that version of Blue. You can see the yellow a little bit better, but I mean, even up close, the face detail just looks so much more prominent. The colors look better on this figure. I think if you're looking for a Delta figure, this is certainly the best Raptor figure. If you're looking for a Raptor that you might want to repaint or reuse, like this sculpt might not be great for, say, the TLW Raptor. They might have to get like a new head because they tend to use the Jurassic World head sculpts and the Jurassic Park Raptor head sculpts interchangeably, even though I personally feel as though the design's way different. But I think, for the Jurassic World era Raptors or even maybe Jurassic Park 3 Raptors, this is the sculpt. This is the one they're going to want to go with. I think if they keep going this direction, fans are going to keep being happy and buy these figures up.
Okay, so we're doing a little exclusive thing here. We're going to be unboxing live the Pyro Raptor. Nick just bought one. This is the last toy for the boardroom meeting here. So this guy just came out when?
This is the first one I've seen on store shelves. I'm going to say it came out the same wave as Delta and Claire, because if you look on the back of the packaging, you can see it has the Giga, the Therizinosaurus, Delta, and Claire. So probably the same wave. But this is a figure I think a lot of us also have wanted for a while, since it was probably one of the more prominent dinosaurs featured in the Dominion marketing. I think the version that we got prior wasn't horrible, but the head was a little bit off. The articulation wasn't great. So this one, it seems like they got a little bit better. So opening it out of the packaging, you get, just like the Raptors, it's got the tail separate and the dinosaur here. And now I'm going to have to try to break this out without breaking it.
Now, does that one have the glass eye too?
This one does, and it actually looks great. I'll show you up close in a second.
Sweet. Also something. So we had the 2 constructive criticisms I forgot to say at the beginning. I originally just said 1. My microphone was a little bit closer. We have to get Nick a new microphone. The second one was our buddy Justin said that he's used to podcasts being like not very like edited. He wants to like hear like, not us like breathing into the microphone, but like the spacing of like a natural discussion. So instead of us like asking a question and then there's like a cut, it's just gonna be us like talking and then like a pause. So we're actually going to include that too. Justin, we're listening to you. Constructive criticism, great stuff. You already put the figure together. You ready to talk about it?
Yes, super quick. I'm just kind of feeling the articulation out. It's a pretty firm figure. I think as far as proportions go and just detail wise, this is the quintessential Pyro Raptor, just off of my first thoughts. The glass eye looks really good. It's not perfect, unfortunately. It's still kind of hard to see. But the teeth are way better. The head sculpt proportions are way better. This is the version of the figure that I think we've all wanted for a while. If you do look at it from the front, though, I feel like the figure might look a little chunky. I don't know if you would agree. But it's still not terrible. This is, again, another really good Hammond Collection release. Way better than the one that came with Kayla Watts and the Outpost playset, in my opinion, at least.
Right.
But the feet look great. They might even be the same exact feet. No, they're actually a little bit smaller than the Velociraptor. So they are different feet. And like I said, it looks proportionate. The jaw does open pretty well. Nice firm articulation. I would say it's, for $15, I think you get your money's worth with a majority of these smaller scale figures. And this one is no exception. I think the paint deco looks great. The fading between like the light gray and the dark gray on the face looks really good. The red on the tail and the rest of the body is slightly different, just like the Giga. But they even went the extra mile, included that like light blue on the back of the tail there. So I think that looks good. And I mean, the tail is pretty bendy. You can, see it's got that wide range of articulation that we're used to. You can kind of pose him like he's jumping out of the the lake leaping at Owen, kind of like that. So, I mean, it pretty much does what you want a Pyro Raptor figure to do. I think this is a really good toy. I'm glad I picked it up, and I will most definitely be getting at least a second, maybe a third, hope maybe two to keep out of the box, because I really do like the Hammond Collection figures. They're just probably the best Jurassic figures, in my opinion, that we've gotten through the years.
Awesome. So on the game trail, today's big topic, we actually just thought of this 30 minutes ago. It is actually our hopes for the Jurassic World Reimagined line. So what the heck is Jurassic World Reimagined, Nick? It was something that was just announced like within the last month or so.
Yes.
What technically is Jurassic World Reimagined?
I don't think we even really know what it is yet, considering that they've only shown one figure off from that line. From what Tim at Collect Jurassic has said, it seems that they basically took the 93 Classic line and the Legacy Collection line and just mashed it into one. And now it's the Jurassic World Legacy Reimagined line. So it's, I guess, supposed to take both figures maybe from the Kenner days, or the concept of Kenner figures, like how they had the real feel skin, or the bright colors, like this version of Nedry here with his motorcycle. I mean, this one's kind of based off of the Strike Cycle from Series 2 and that version of Nedry. So I'm sure we'll get more figures like this down the line. The Demon Carno is the hopefully first of many like it. And honestly, I don't know that they had to go with the name change for the line, because they probably could have just kept it Jurassic World Legacy. I don't know why they went with the reimagined aspect of it. But it could just apply mainly towards the Jurassic World franchise instead of Jurassic Park. So maybe they'll just use stuff that was seen in Jurassic World opposed to Park, meaning the Carnotaurus from Fallen Kingdom, or the Indominus down the line, or maybe they'll do like, a classic set with Owen and a motorcycle and Blue. But that's kind of what I'm picturing them going with. So whether or not it's good, we'll see. Some of the Legacy releases have been great. Some of them have been kind of a letdown, but we'll find out.
So is this a brand new like subsection, or is this actually, I heard the rumor that they're taking both of them and they're smashing them together into this reimagined.
Right. So that's pretty much what they're doing. It's I wouldn't say it's brand new. I guess the concept's just kind of going into one set of exclusives, because the Legacy line and the 93 Retro line were both exclusive to Target. Maybe other retailers are getting upset that Target's got Hammond Collection, and even though that's not exclusive to Target anymore, but they've got Hammond Collection, Legacy, the main line, and the Retro. Or maybe Target saying like, hey guys, we can't keep all this overstock on shelves. We need you to, condense a little bit and give us less product. So that could be why they did that too.
Also, okay, so just piggybacking off that, this is a Target exclusive. There's Reimagined is as well. So I'm going to read off what Target has. First start with the Legacy Collection, because that's first started in 2018. Legacy Collection, Target exclusive. This collection celebrates all the classic dinosaurs, characters, vehicles, and moments from Isla Nublar, Isla Sorna, and beyond. 93 Classic Collection. Step back in time with packaging, colors, and designs inspired by the classic toys from the 90s. A fun retro vibe for collectors and kids alike. Only at Target. Legacy Collection Reimagined. Target exclusive, the fiercest dinos roar to life in this new collection featuring real feel textures, roaring sounds, and retro-themed deco. So that makes me think Reimagined is essentially real feel skin dinos, electronic, so it's probably something you're not loving compared to the Hammond Collection. And also, it just says dinos, so I'm thinking there's not going to have any humans or vehicles in this line at all. So
it's very possible they might end up going that way with it. It could be that they just stick with dinosaurs. And I honestly, I think that might be the way to go with it. Especially if they're going to do like real field dinosaurs, just focus on them as opposed to doing like a whole toy line around them. But I guess it's something we'll find out. I think the next Beyond the Gates reveal is going to be another 93 Classic figure. I could be wrong there, but I know there's at least one more reveal that we'll get this year. So I guess, after that, maybe we'll have a little bit better of an idea as to where the line's going. But for now, it's kind of still up in the air.
So the upcoming Gate Crashers, coming 8/28, which is in like 9 days.
It's the 19th. So yeah.
That is going to be one new item from the Jurassic World Reimagined collection. So they're going to be launching with a Demon Carno and something else. Then it's September 25th, a Hammond Collection. October 23rd, Hammond Collection. November 27th, Hammond Collection. So we're going to get 2 toys in Reimagined to launch. So the first one is the Demon Carno. When that was launched, I'm going to say something. Okay, every time that since 2018, somebody took like that little chopping, with a French fry Carnotaurus toy, cool toy, but somebody would take like a Mattel toy and they would paint it like the Demon Carno, and I would always look at that and be like, wow, that was really cool. Mattel toy is pretty cool, but the Demon Carno just clears. It's just like, it's so much better. Like every time anyone, even if they're great painters, if they painted a Mattel toy into a Kenner toy, the Kenner toy for me always won out. Like. So I do like the fact that they're doing this. I'm really looking forward to seeing it in store and touching it, maybe even buying it, and we can review it. But my thoughts on the whole like original idea of people repainting the Mattel toys is it's never going to be as good as the original one for me, and the Mattel one should be its own thing. Right. But at the same time, I want to see this toy and see how it looks and stuff. So there's no jaw articulation. I don't know if you looked at the pictures. I don't know what your thoughts on the toy reveal was.
Yeah, as big a fan as the Demon Carno as I am, I don't love this version that they're doing. I think it looks way too much like that little version that was released with the Owen and the Raptors for Dominion. It's too stiff to me. There's no jaw articulation. The eyes look a little weird. And again, all we've seen so far really is the stock images and the in-hand version that they had in Beyond the Gates. So, I got to see it in person, I guess, before I have a full opinion on it. But it's not awful. I just kind of wish they went a little bit more retro style.
The next toy, what do you think it's going to be for Jurassic World Reimagined?
Well, like I said earlier in the podcast, they talked about it possibly being the Indominus Rex at the Q&A for Mattel. I don't know for a fact that that's what they're going to do, but I could see them doing a real feel Indominus somewhere down the line. Like I said, my hope is that it's a Hammond Collection Indominus, but who knows? If it's not that, I could definitely see them doing a set like Nedry has with the motorcycle and Blue and Owen. If they're not going to do a human, if I could pick the dinosaur that they pick from the line, maybe do like a real feel herbivore, like a Sinoceratops. I think that could be cool. Or maybe, I don't know. The Ankylosaurus could be cool. I don't know, something like that, I guess.
I think they're going to go super safe. I think they're going to choose like the Bull Rex or the Trike. But if they already hinted being the Indominus, I feel like they'll probably have the Indominus. If that's the case, I'm really intrigued.
Honestly, I think it's better if they went the safer route. Just pick something a little bit more consumer friendly. I think if you're trying to boost the sales of products, you have to launch a line like that with stuff that is like an evergreen character, kind of like T-Rex, Velociraptor, Brachiosaurus. Like those are all staples of the Jurassic Park franchise. You put them on shelves, there's likely going to be a kid that wants them if they don't already have them. Whereas something like, maybe not the Pyro Raptor, but something a little more obscure, like say I'm trying to think, like the Elasmosaurus that they put out, just for an example, is not really a household dinosaur that most kids or collectors really know of, or it's like an awkward thing to display too on shelves. It doesn't really sit well. So like stuff like that, I feel like pegworms a little bit more than say a T-Rex. So the safer the bet, I think the better for them, just as they're launching this line. And then if it does well, throw some weird stuff out there. But I think the 93 classic line didn't do so well. It just seemed like a lot of their products peg-warmed and then eventually clearanced in my area. So I think they went a little too bold with some of their initial releases, like choosing the Scutosaurus as a pack-in, even this Nedry set. I mean, with this set, even the Young Rex set that's coming out now with like Ray Arnold being the character pack-in, I don't see the two IT guys in the park being two buff mercenaries. I don't see them, handling crazy guns and stuff like that or riding motorcycles. It doesn't make sense to add those characters in that pack. I think if they maybe wanted to sell the Nedry set a little better, throw Muldoon in there. He's, the clear badass character of Jurassic Park. People like him because he's the big hunter of that movie. He's the guy that goes out and tries to kill the raptors. I mean, that's a character that you would see riding a motorcycle with, a giant gun and stuff like that, not Dennis Nedry. So I think in those regards, they could have picked better characters to pack in with those sets. Maybe that would help them sell better. Even like Ellie Sattler makes a better pack in, or do like a version of young Tim Murphy from Series 2 or Series 1 of Jurassic Park. Because, that's what was cool. Put the snare in there with him, give him the night vision goggles like you did with the Explorer set, and boom, you got a perfect pack in that's, I guess, it makes more sense than Nedry or Arnold did. So I hope if they go that direction with packing characters for the new Jurassic World Reimagined line, that they pick safer bets. Do your Owen, do your Claire. Don't throw in like just a random character that just doesn't make any sense. Like throw in an ACU soldier or like park workers. Those are always good because they're kind of like dinosaur fodder. Like when kids are playing with the soldiers, they're the first ones they kill off because they're not the named characters. So I don't know. I think that's the way to go about it, but that's just my opinion.
I was actually going to ask you a hypothetical question because, say, for example, they did put in Muldoon, but then they're going to start running out of people. Then they can put in like Nedry eventually, I think it's kind of cool that Nedry's in it. It's kind of funny, but
yeah, Nedry's not a horrible character, but again, like he doesn't look anything like he did in the film.
No.
And at least the Grant and Malcolm that came out in that line do kind of represent their character, at least in the colors and kind of design. I mean, Malcolm obviously didn't have a utility vest or a jetpack or glider or anything like that, but I think that kind of fit more than this does. I think you put Muldoon in there, the kids, maybe you do some characters from Lost World. I just don't know that Nedry, at least in this way, was the best way to represent him. Like, don't make him a buff mercenary, at least, give him bright colors, maybe his Jurassic Park rain jacket, and do like the classic colors, but don't do it in that way.
I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of like a little bit of Power of the Force, which people hated for a while. Now they're starting to like it because they're rather cheap figures. But that's actually part of the original topic of us talking about the game trail was the Dennis Nedry chase pack, and then also the T-Rex off-road tracker pack. I think the T-Rex off-road tracker pack I actually tweeted from the Site B Twitter account. That's outselling the Giga like 5-1, I would say. Almost all those
really?
Yeah. It's like almost empty completely in that section, and the Giga's pretty much fully stocked, which is interesting. Okay. When I saw the reveal of that toy, the Rex tracker pack, it's cool that they had the Series 2 paint. It's cool that they have a brand new head sculpt, but in my opinion, I'm going to ask you a question. Does it look like Chat May to you?
I think the plastic quality looks a little bit cheaper in that set overall. I would say maybe it's the colors that make it look like Chat May.
I think it's the head.
But
because it doesn't really look like a Kenner one. It looks kind of Kenner inspired, but it doesn't look like a Kenner Young Rex. So it's also weird that because the Kenner Young Rex head sculpt from whoever created it, coolest thing ever, is different than the adult head sculpt. Yet that's used as inspiration for an adult Rex for Mattel for this set. So it's just like, maybe that's why I'm thinking it looks Chat May like, because the Chat May adult Rexes look like a boxier type setup with their sculpts.
Sure. I mean, that's possible. Yeah, I think you're right. It's got like a boxier head in those T-Rexes, so maybe that's where you get that from. But I would agree, it's not perfect in regards to replicating the original, but I think it gets the point through enough. I personally haven't picked that setup yet, just because it's $50 and I don't have room for another big T-Rex. But it does look great. I think I will pick it up when it goes on clearance at some point. But again, that pack in, Ray Arnold doesn't make sense as the guy with the dinosaur vest that he's wearing. Like, he kind of looks like he's got Roland Tembo or even Series 2 Bola Launcher Grant's outfit on. And it just doesn't make sense. I mean, he's the computer guy. Not to say that they can't be badass too, but I don't know that maybe he was the best character to pack into that set. I mean, the fact that they didn't put Ellie Sattler in any of the retro sets kind of shocked me. But the fact that they didn't put Muldoon in either of those sets just doesn't make sense to me.
I think they might have not put Ellie in because they put her in with that really weird Raptor Jeep like set, and I don't think it's sold very well because that went clearance pretty quickly in my area.
Yeah.
Which sucks because the Jeep was kind of cool, and it's kind of cool that she had a yellow rain jacket, but like, why would they just have Ellie but like no Muldoon yellow jacket? And then why put in a Raptor? I don't know. Weird choice.
That's the thing. It's like including the Muldoon figure with the yellow rain jacket. They gave us the Raptor because I guess they think that because of the dinosaur, it'll sell that set better for kids. I think if you're aiming a line towards collectors like the Legacy Collection line was, give the collectors what they want. You know, if you can cheapen the cost a little bit by, you know, let's say, for example, the Ford Explorer set that came with the T-Rex and Tim Murphy. We all wanted that Explorer for years. That would have been a great vehicle just to give on its own, just like they did with the Jeep Wrangler the first time around with Fallen Kingdom. But they wanted to make extra money by putting in that same T-Rex that we've gotten like 3 or 4 times prior. And it just pegged warm because 1, we all had that T-Rex, and 2, you know, who's going to spend $50 per set just to get the vehicle? If you had it, you know, a single packed vehicle with a human like Tim, or you did Tim Lex in the vehicle and charge $30, that I think is a lot more reasonable for collectors than it is for, you know, us to have to keep buying that T-Rex and then have an extra T-Rex that nobody wants, especially when that sculpt is decent, but it's dated. You know, we needed a newer, more modern version of that sculpt too.
Yeah, I think they, I counted within, for my, I think 1 year or year 1 video I made in 2019, I think they used it like 13 times within a year. I can't even imagine what that number is now.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad figure. If you're starting out collecting in the line and, you know, you're trying to get a good T-Rex figure on a budget, sure, go for it. But to keep giving us the same figure over and over and over again, that, like you said, is probably the worst one that they've done, if not maybe like the Attack Pack Raptor. But they're just not good figures. People are going to get rid of them. I bought that Crush Ford Explorer where like the top caves in. I think we talked about it on the last podcast episode. And I bought that, but I got rid of the Raptor that came with it because I don't need it. You know, 1, it was oversized. 2, the electronics were kind of stupid on it, and that's why it was over. And it just, I don't need an extra really crappy looking Raptor in my collection. I would rather have the Hammond Collection Raptors with that vehicle. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they could do a whole separate subline of Hammond Collection where they do just the vehicles, like they kind of try to do with the crowd font, with the rubber tires, the lights on the Explorer. I mean, like that looked great. I really wish that, what do they call that? Oh my God, crowd font. Saying thank you, and I figured it out.
I telepathically told you you're welcome.
Thank you. Yes, you're Professor X now.
Yes,
but yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, so wrapping up, essentially for Reimagine, we don't want to see stuff like the Chomping Rex being used 34 times every 2 years or so. We want to see like something new. Go ahead.
I would say if it's going to be a smaller line, you know, give us new sculpts. Don't keep reusing the same crap. I mean, like they even went as far as taking the old bike from the Walmart set to use for this bike, and they just tooled it, you know, very, very slightly to add that claw and the missile on the side. That's okay. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't look awful, but, you know, don't cheapen out and just go with a bunch of repaints and repacks, because ultimately I think that stuff's going to sit on shelves for a while.
Right on, as Victoria's Cantina says. So I think that would probably wrap up the game trail for us here. Next is our Chaos Theory, random topics we'll talk about towards the end of the show. This time it's not Star Wars or Marvel. We're actually going to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. There's been some reveals. You saw Deadpool Wolverine. That I think debuted at Comic-Con before it came out that weekend. And then also exclusive figures like Jimmy Buffett and other things you might have picked up from San Diego Comic-Con exclusive wise from somebody or the internet. So what do you got?
So here's the Jimmy Buffett figure. I saw a lot of people complain about this one. I think if you're going to go with an exclusive, something like this is kind of the better way to go personally. I know we're all kind of upset that we didn't get maybe like a, you know, Hammond Collection Spinosaurus, for example, but imagine if that was the exclusive that they chose for San Diego Comic-Con. Like, that would just be awful because, 1, that's a figure that should be on, you know, main brick and mortar store shelves. And 2, it would be impossible for us to get. You know, bots would beat us to it and scalpers would beat us to it. And then you're paying double, if not triple, for a figure like that, where it actually just went off by itself.
Nice.
But it's kind of funny. I'm going to let it just go before I talk over
Is he dancing? That'd be kind of funny if it was an animatronic.
So actually, hold on.
Yeah, it should be a button, yeah?
Yeah, there's no button, actually. There's nothing at the bottom.
Wow. What is it playing? The song? The Margaritaville song?
It's not, yeah, it's just playing like a random, like, field drum song or something, like an island type of song.
Oh, they couldn't afford rights to an actual Jimmy Buffett song.
Right. Jimmy Buffett's, what's the word for it? His
genres?
His estate. They are a part of this. Like this figure, I think every purchase went towards like a donation that I don't know what the specific charity was, but it was something that Jimmy Buffett supported. So, I think this is a cool figure. It's kind of a shame that we got Jimmy Buffett before we got like Vic Hoskins or even a Jurassic World Claire. But for what it was $30. I think it's a cool exclusive. These little Dimorphodons are great because, it's in scale with the Hammond Collection. And, they're not perfect. They don't have articulation or anything, but, the detail is not terrible. This fits in with the 3 3/4 inch line. They are skins from, I think one of the mercenaries had them when they released them for Fallen Kingdom. But this one obviously has more paint to look like the version from Jurassic World. And if you turn it manually, it'll make all those weird sounds. Like there's the Dimorphodon roar.
That's cool.
It also makes a blender sound too.
Huh.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. The packaging actually is really great too. I threw away the packaging because I just didn't have room to display it, but it was an actual blender. So it makes sense to have that blender sound there for the margaritas. But it's also kind of funny. I never thought this set was going to go for more than the $30 because the Malcolm set and the Ray Arnold set really didn't go up in value over the years. Like they just kind of remained about like $40. Whereas this set's already going for double the cost, and it's not even a main character from Jurassic Park. It's just Jimmy Buffett. So I don't know if Jimmy Buffett fans, bought them all up and they want them, all the parrot heads, or if it's Jurassic Park fans who just bought a ton of them and now they're trying to scalp them. If there really is that much of a demand for Jimmy Buffett action figures, who knows? But cool exclusive. I'm all for it. And they said that next year's exclusive is supposed to be way better than this. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell it could be, because that one's pretty cool. Like you have Jimmy Buffett being eaten by a Carnotaurus or something. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, well, actually, what I think would be kind of cool if they wanted to do like another cameo type figure, give us David Kep from The Lost World. And in the credits, they call him the unlucky bastard. That's the guy that gets eaten by the Rex in the San Diego sequence, like as he's trying to get in the Blockbuster or something it was. And I think if you gave us like that figure give us the dog that the T-Rex eats too, and the little breakaway dog house, and we're set. Like I think that would be kind of cool. It's not a character that you need, obviously, but it's just a fun thing to add to your collections, and it's more characters that could be eaten by dinosaurs, like you said. Like Jimmy Buffett's getting eaten by Dimorphodon, so it's cooler than that.
Right. I don't know if I'd like the dog action figure because I love dogs, but it's a creative idea for sure.
I don't know necessarily if the dog is the best inclusion, but if you're gonna stuff with the T-Rex, there's something there.
So Comic-Con wise, wrapping that part up, did you see any of the films that were like debuted there? Did you see Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes, I saw Deadpool Wolverine. I've seen it twice in theaters, loved it. I just got into the X-Men with X-Men 97. I wasn't really into them prior to that, so after watching that, I went back and rewatched the 2000s Fox X-Men movies and really kind of took a deep dive into the X-Men. So that leading up into Deadpool Wolverine, I mean, like that film really was a nice culmination of all the Fox stuff through the years and kind of like wrapping that story up and, kind of moving forward into the MCU now, having Deadpool and Wolverine. So I thought it was great. I look forward to whatever sequel or, inclusion those characters have in future Marvel movies. But I'm pretty sure other than that, I saw Twisters recently. I don't know if that was at SDCC, but that movie was okay. Yeah, I didn't think Twisters was anything to write home about. I thought it was fun, but it wasn't like, must-see movie of the year. I think Deadpool Wolverine is way better than that. But that's... And I know you saw Alien Romulus, you said?
Yeah. I saw Alien Romulus on opening night, the fan event. It was awesome. I'm trying to see it again, and it's already made its money back. I did a review. If everyone's into films, I have a movie review podcast I just saw, which is uncensored, spoiler filled. So if you don't want spoilers, don't watch that or listen to that podcast. But it was awesome. I think it had an $80 million budget, and it's made already at least $108 million, which is good. Good news for just the opening weekend. Big thumbs up. So I think that's it for our Chaos Theory segment. And last is San Diego, which is ironic because we just talked about San Diego, but San Diego for us is the final thoughts. So this was just announced right after, or about a month after we did our first podcast. There was a Game Awards show that announced that we were getting a Jurassic Park horror survivor game, or horror survival, titled Jurassic Park Survivor. And this is a couple weeks announced after I think it's called Made in Dreams. There's like a couple dudes working on a game, and there's always people working on games like Jurassic Park games, like Isla Nublar map, most likely using the Crysis engine. And you can download some of them. You can walk around on Isla Nublar if you have a PC. It's awesome to just spend like 30 minutes walking around Isla Nublar, or you can drive like a Jeep. They don't have much. They don't have dinosaurs in the map or anything. But they shut down. Universal did like a cease and desist for this one particular group that was almost done with the game, essentially. And,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, what the hell's going on? That's kind of lame. And so 2 weeks later or so, then they have an official announcement that they have this game. And I think that studio just sold to some other studio. So I don't know if it was in limbo or not, but I think Outpost said it was okay. So we still should be getting the game. And I think it's coming out in 2025. So that is absolutely insane. I've been waiting for like a game like this my whole life, like a decent game, or at least like a Dino Crisis remake. So You're a big park builder guy. I love the park builder games too. Do you like the horror survival games like Resident Evil? Like, what were your thoughts on this game being announced?
I mean, I'm not a huge gamer. I haven't played too many horror games, unfortunately. I've watched more of Alien Isolation than I've played of it, but I like the style of that game, and I can see that being kind of what we're going to get with this game. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm a Jurassic Park fan. So whatever new media or new canon we can add to the lore, I'm down to find out. Like, I will be getting this game on launch, and I'm excited to see who this Dr. Maya Joshi character is, and if there's other survivors on the island with her, if there's going to be new dinosaurs that we haven't seen yet. Maybe we'll get Metriacanthosaurus or Proceratosaurus, which were supposedly on the island during the events of Jurassic Park. So hopefully we'll get maybe a new species revealed. I liked what they did with the Telltale Jurassic Park game, and going about that original story. I feel like they were very respectful to the franchise. They added 2 new species, the Troodon and the Tylosaurus, and I thought they were done extremely well. So as long as this company, has that same respect to the Jurassic Park franchise, and they, keep the lore and continuity kind of on track. It's okay if they retcon a few things, but there's a difference between retconning minor things are obviously key important details of the franchise. So we don't want it to be like its own standalone game, as opposed to not feeling like it's a part of the bigger franchise, I guess. So I'm excited for it. I think they said they pushed it back to like 2026. I don't think we'll be getting.
Let me look that up. That's
I don't know. It's a shame because, like, I think the video came out in January that they were doing this new game, and we still haven't seen anything since. So
it says, it came out 8 months ago. The trailer was, so that was about January, December 7th.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a long ways out, and honestly, we didn't even see much gameplay. It was a lot of like pre-rendered footage. So the concept looks great. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do with it, and if it's as good as a game as like Jurassic World Evolution 2 is, it's going to be great. But we've got 2 years to find out. Hopefully, we'll hear more soon, and I just hope they keep announcing more Jurassic Park games. Let's get Jurassic World Evolution 3, do maybe another type of survival game or shooter, or like even like sandbox mode type of game with like GTA type of level, I guess, gameplay where you're going around a certain map with dinosaurs coming after you or something like that. Could be cool. So, I'm all for it. And, I guess we'll see what happens.
It says sometime, this is as of July 3rd this year, sometime in 2025. It's not going to be released in 2024. So that's good. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, if the sooner the better at the end of the day.
I mean, unless it's going to be broken, that would suck. Like Cyberpunk was really bad. But
yes.
So you mentioned Jurassic. I also, before I ask this question about Jurassic Park, the game, that would be really cool if like this game, you have like the story mode, you can go through and all that stuff. I'm assuming it's not quick time like Jurassic Park, the game was, quick time events. I'm assuming it's kind of like free range. You can do whatever. I hope there's like a separate mode. You can kind of just like go at like night, day, rain, anything. And you can just like walk around like in like the Crisis fan made games. That'd be really cool to do that. Not just like some story mode. I love story mode and stuff. I'm going to play the crap out of this game, but I hope there's kind of like some chill mode and just kind of go around, use a new bar. That'd be pretty sick. But
yeah, that would be.
Did you like Jurassic Park, the game? Did you like that the fact it was like a quick time event game from like 2011 or so when that came out?
Yeah, I thought it was a fun game. I played through it several times. I loved it when it first came out. I mean, it's not so much a game as it is more a story where you're moving the controller a couple times and, doing very slight things. It doesn't take skill or anything like that. It's kind of like a reaction-based game. But as far as the story goes, I liked it. It's, like I said, very respectful to the Jurassic Park franchise. It's a little weird they redesigned Jerry Harding, but whatever. I never understood that as a kid, but fine, And then they retconned it where they said that Jess was stepsisters with Sarah, and that Dr. Harding from Jurassic Park was the father of Sarah Harding from The Lost World. So, I like that because it's not a major retcon that ruins anything. It kind of ties the franchise together. I think stuff like that works. And the new scientist, Dr. Laura Sorkin, in that was pretty cool. I like the mercenaries, Oscar and Billy, and Nima was cool. So, I think the people that designed that game and worked on it, they understood the true heart of Jurassic Park. They were.
Uh-oh. I think we have lost communication in the InGen Communications Tower. He is no longer Nick in New Jersey. He is... I'm frozen too, I guess. Looks like the video feed has glitched on this computer here. This dang 90s computers. All right, well, we pretty much wrapped up the thing anyway, so sorry all the people watching on YouTube got a little bit messed up. That is it, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 2 of the Site B podcast. Thank you, Nick, for joining me via satellite. Hopefully next time there won't be any glitchy satellite issues, and hopefully next time we'll have a microphone for Nick. He has a pretty good camera today, so we'll see. All right, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and Godspeed, everybody. Thank you for listening. If you like more content from us, be sure to follow us on social media at SiteBPod. And remember, if it's not Site B, it's extinct.